The night was not normal. Dark clouds covered the sky. Lightning flashed again and again over the hospital on the edge of Sector 12 Earth. The wind howled like a beast. Power flickered inside the small building. In the delivery room, one nurse whispered to the doctor, "This storm. It doesn't feel natural." Dr. Harlan ignored her. "Focus. The baby's almost here." The mother screamed one last time, and the baby was born. But the room fell completely silent. No crying, no movement, no sound. Everyone froze. The doctor leaned forward to check. The baby opened his eyes. The nurse gasped and dropped the medical tool in her hand. The baby's eyes were glowing, not just bright. They were burning, fiery red and gold, moving like real flames trapped inside. The lights above flickered and exploded. Machines around the bed short-circuited. Sparks flew. The heart monitor flatlined. Everyone in the room stepped back. Fear filled their eyes. Dr. Harlan whispered, "What? What kind of human is this?" The mother, weak and pale, looked at her child. She smiled softly and whispered, "Kael. His name is Kael." Then she closed her eyes and never opened them again. The nurse tried to run out of the room, but the door wouldn't open. Emergency locks activated. The entire hospital was in lockdown. Dr. Harlan grabbed his personal tablet and recorded a quick voice note. August 9th, 2128. A human baby was born in Sector 12. Male unknown energy pulsing from eyes. Electricity. Affected. Eyes resemble fire. Possible alien mutation. Keeping record hidden. He slipped the device into his coat. The baby was strangely calm now. His small hands moved in the air, and the lights dimmed wherever his fingers pointed. Far above Earth, in a secret chamber orbiting Saturn, the Galactic Council of Order sat in silence. A glowing orb floated in the center of the table. Flashing red dot, the signal came from Earth Council leader Threx. An ancient being with crystal skin leaned forward. "This energy signature, it's impossible. It matches the dragon line." Another member with a cybernetic face replied, "The Dragonite were wiped out 3,000 cycles ago. This is not possible." Threx's eyes turned cold. "It's not a match. It's a birth. A new one." A pause. Then he said the words everyone feared. "Issue protocol blackout. The child must be silenced. Earth must never know." On Earth, Dr. Harlan took the baby, Kael, in his arms. His hands trembled. The hospital was empty now. Way everyone had run away. He walked through the broken halls, heart pounding. The baby's glowing eyes stared up at him, not with anger or fear. Just calm. Outside, a black car waited. The doctor knew what the right thing was. But it also meant risking everything. He placed Kael in a metal case with blankets and closed the lid gently. Then he drove away into the storm, leaving the hospital and the Council's eyes behind, far in the galaxy. The Council sent one message to their top assassin, hidden deep in the star system of Zyrel. Target, human infant. Eyes of flame. Location, Earth, Sector 12. Mission, terminate. Back on Earth, inside a hidden forest bunker, Dr. Harlan opened the lid and looked down at the sleeping baby. He said softly, "You're just a child. But the universe fears you already." Kael's glowing eyes blinked open again, and the lights in the bunker went dark, far beyond Earth's skies. Deep in the cold silence of space, a meeting was held in shadows, inside the Hall of Silence. Floating above Saturn's rings, the Galactic Council gathered. 12 alien leaders sat around a crystal table, their faces lit only by the flickering orb in the center. The orb pulsed red again and again, like a warning heartbeat. Council leader Threx, the oldest and most feared among them, tapped a finger made of shimmering crystal. His voice echoed like thunder. Dragon eyes have returned. The others stirred. Impossible. Hissed Varanok, a slim alien with skin like living steel. The bloodline was erased. We wiped them out ourselves. And yet, Threx growled. A signal of the same energy was traced to Earth. A newborn, human, male. A moment of silence. Then, murmurs. Could it be a mutation? A mistake in our scans? Or worse, a rebirth? The orb showed. The recorded video stolen from Earth, a blurry image of a crying baby with flaming red eyes, machines sparking, lights flickering, a mother's last breath. One council member whispered, "Just a baby." And yet the power, Threx stood. We cannot let the past return. The dragon-eyed were not just powerful, they were uncontrollable. If even one survives. He didn't finish. Instead, he issued the order again. Send the silence. Meanwhile, on Earth, deep in the forest mountains, hidden from satellites and sensors, Dr. Harlan paced across the bunker floor. 6 years had passed since that stormy night. 6 years of hiding. 6 years of silence. And Kael. The boy with dragon eyes had grown. He wasn't like normal children. He didn't cry. He didn't laugh much either, but his eyes still glowed. Not always, only when he was scared. Or when he felt too much. Kael sat alone in a corner now, drawing strange symbols with a stick on the wall. Symbols no human had ever seen. But somehow, he knew them. Dr. Harlan looked over his shoulder. What are those, Kael? The boy tilted his head. They came in my dreams last night. The doctor shivered. He had studied thousands of alien scripts in his youth, but even he couldn't read what the boy was writing. Then Kael looked up, his fiery eyes dim for once. Someone's coming. Dr. Harlan froze. What did you say? Blinked. I heard whispers from the stars. Someone is coming. That night, in orbit around Earth, stealth ship, uncloaked. No lights, no engine sounds, no engine sounds, no signal, only silence. Inside the ship, a tall, dark figure stood with twin blades across her back. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes pure black. Her name was Vela, the Council's deadliest assassin. She wasn't born, she was made, and now she had one task: find the dragon-eyed, eliminate. But as the ship approached Earth's atmosphere, a strange interference struck her controls. An image flashed across her screen, a child's face, smiling then. The ship shook. Vela grabbed the controls. What is this? The ship was being pulled, not by gravity, by something else. Something ancient. The landing was rough. Trees snapped. Smoke rose. She survived. But something inside her whispered for the first time in years. Be careful. He sees you. Back at the bunker, Kael jolted upright in his bed. He didn't know why. He just whispered, "She's here." Dr. Harlan rushed in. What do you mean? Who's here? Kael pointed to the sky. The cold lady. She came to hurt me. Her heart is confused. Dr. Harlan looked through the camera feed. A heat signal blinked red near the outer forest. They weren't alone anymore. Vela walked through the forest, blades ready. She was trained not to feel, not to listen to fear. But tonight, something was different. The trees whispered in a language she didn't know. And the deeper she walked, the warmer the air felt. Suddenly, she heard a voice, not outside. Inside her mind. Why do you want to hurt me? It asked. She stopped. No one should be in my mind, she growled. The voice answered again, gently. I'm not in your mind. I'm in your heart. She arrived. At the bunker entrance, Dr. Harlan stood in front, holding a metal rod. You won't touch him. Vela raised her blades. I was ordered to kill him before he becomes like the old ones. Kael stepped outside, small, barefoot, eyes softly glowing. He looked at her. "You're sad." Vela froze. Kael walked closer. "You don't want to hurt me. I can feel it." She gritted her teeth. "I don't feel anything." But her hands were shaking. Something was breaking inside her. Something the council had buried long ago. And then, Kael smiled, a small, innocent smile. It shattered everything. She dropped her blades. The bunker had never been. This quiet Dr. Harlan sat at the edge of the metal bed, staring at the two figures in front of him, a boy with glowing eyes, and the assassin sent to kill him. Now sitting on the floor with her blades tossed aside, Vela hadn't spoken a word in an hour. Kael, now 6 years old, was sitting next to her, calm, watching her face like he understood something no adult ever could. "Why didn't you kill him?" Dr. Harlan finally asked. Vela didn't lift her eyes. "Because he looked at me, and I heard something." "What did you hear?" She touched her chest slowly. "My name, my real one. The one they erased." Harlan frowned. "What do you mean? You've always been Vela, haven't you?" She shook her head. "I was a child once. My memories were taken when I was turned into a weapon. No emotions, no pain, only missions." She looked up at Kael, voice shaking. "But when he smiled at me, I remembered my mother's voice." Kael gently reached out and touched her arm. "You're not broken." In the days that followed, Vela remained in the bunker. She didn't speak much. She just watched. She saw Kael draw strange shapes on the walls again. Not just symbols, but maps, paths between stars. Alien constellations long erased from the galaxy's charts. Dr. Harlan noticed it too. "These are ancient. I saw some like these in old forbidden records." "How does he know this?" Kael answered softly. "Because it's not from his mind. It's from his blood." One night, a storm shook the bunker again, just like the night Kael was born. The lights flickered. Kael woke up screaming, his eyes glowing bright yellow this time. Vela rushed to him. "Kael, what is it?" He looked at her, terrified. "They're coming, the dark ones, from the void." Harlan checked the hidden satellite feed. He paled. A ship, massive, black and silent, was approaching Earth. No flags, no signals. "That's not Council military," Harlan said. "That's something else." Vela's voice dropped. "That's the Shadow faction." Harlan blinked. "They're older than the Council, older than the war. They were the ones who betrayed the Dragonite first. And now they want to erase the last of them." Kael walked to the center of the bunker and raised his hand. The walls lit up. Glowing symbols appeared all around them. Vela stepped back. "What is this?" Kael looked around the glowing bunker and said, "I think this place was built for me before I was born." Harlan was shocked. "How is that possible?" Kael touched a symbol, and a deep voice echoed through the walls, not from speakers. From the stone itself. "Awakened blood detected. Shield sequence ready." The entire bunker began to shift. Panels opened, machines extended. Lights pulsed. It wasn't just a bunker. It was an ancient outpost, from the Dragon era, far above Earth. The Shadow faction ship sent down a probe. It hovered over the forest, scanning. Inside the bunker, alarms sounded. The voice returned. "Unknown technology detected. Defensive grid arming in 30 seconds. Kael closed his eyes and whispered, "No, I'll speak to them." Vela panicked. "Kael, you can't. They'll kill you." But Kael shook his head. "They don't understand me yet. I need to show them I'm not a threat." He stepped outside, barefoot, cold wind in his hair, and looked up as the probe locked onto him. The beam shot down. A bright red light hit his chest. He didn't flinch. Instead, his eyes began to glow again, this time a deep, peaceful green dot. The beam shook, then stopped. The probe began to float away. But something strange happened. It bowed just slightly. Before flying back up, back in space, the Shadow Faction commander growled. What did it see? His second-in-command whispered, "Permission to speak, sir. Speak." I think it recognized him. Vela ran to Kael and held his shoulders. "How did you do that?" "I didn't do anything," he said. "I just let them feel." "Me? Feel you?" He pointed to his chest. "My fire, my truth." That night, Vela finally spoke with Harlan in private. "We're not just hiding him anymore." Harlan nodded. "I know. He's not just a child. He's something. Older, something that remembers." Harlan looked at the boy sleeping peacefully. Glowing eyes slowly fading. "I think he's not here to destroy the galaxy," Harlan whispered. "I think he's here to heal it." The night air was cold. Kael stood barefoot on the bunker's roof, staring up at the stars. His eyes glowed softly, orange like a sunrise this time. The sky above him was clear, but his heart felt heavy. He had felt the shadows watching him from space. He knew more was coming. Inside the bunker, Dr. Harlan was running diagnostics on the bunker's ancient systems. He muttered to himself, "How does a 6-year-old boy control a facility that's older than human civilization?" Vela, sharpening one of her blades at the corner table, looked up. "Because he's not just a boy. Not anymore." Harlan glanced at her. "You still think he's part of the old bloodline?" She nodded. "I feel it. I've seen it in the stars before." The dragon-eyed were not myths. The council lied. Kael suddenly appeared behind them. "They're coming again." Harlan froze. The Shadow Faction. Kael shook his head. "No, this time it's the council." In deep space, a council destroyer ship, dark and massive, slipped into Earth's orbit. On board, Council Commander Gyrich stood before his officers. His expression was firm. "Earth is not aware. Humans cannot stop us. We extract the child and cleanse the bloodline. This time, completely." A younger officer hesitated. "Sir, what if the child is not a threat?" Gyrich turned sharply. "A dragon-eyed is always a threat, no matter the age, no matter the shape." Back on Earth, Kael sat quietly in the meditation room, a chamber inside the ancient bunker that had awakened days earlier. Strange symbols floated around him in the air. He closed his eyes and reached inward. For the first time, he didn't just see the fire inside him, he heard it. It spoke without words. It roared without sound. It told him the truth. He was not a weapon. He was a beacon. And the fire within was not meant to destroy. It was meant to remind the galaxy of what was forgotten. The connection between stars. The balance of life. The truth of old. Suddenly, alarms rang. Dr. Harlan checked the screens. Council ship inbound. "They've sent drop pods, 6 of them." Vela stood up instantly, grabbing her blades. "They're not here to talk." Kael stood calmly. "Then I won't fight them. I'll show them." Harlan shook his head. "Kael, they'll shoot on sight." Kael looked at him gently. "Then I'll heal the shot." The bunker shook as the pods landed around the forest. Council soldiers, dressed in sleek black armor, moved like shadows, each carrying stun blasters and mine shields. Vela watched from a tree above. These are elite units trained to kill anything alien and anything ancient. Anna. Harlan whispered from his hiding spot. "And Kael is both." The lead soldier kicked open the bunker's outer gate. He stepped inside and froze. Kael stood in the center of the hallway, lone, his arms at his sides. His eyes were glowing gold now, bright, steady, warm. The soldier raised his weapon, but before he could fire, Kael spoke. "Do you remember the stars?" The soldier blinked. What? Kael raised one hand slowly. not to attack, but to offer peace. Do you remember what it felt like before the fear? The soldier hesitated. Then his blaster shook in his hands, not from Kael, but from something. Within himself, a memory surfaced. A vision. He saw a world with twin suns, a peaceful sky, and tall glowing beings teaching children how to breathe fire, not to burn, but to light the dark. Tears rolled down his cheek. I was taught this when I was young. Behind him, another soldier shouted, "He's using mind tricks." Fire now. But before the shots could land, Vela dropped from above, slicing the blasters in half. "No, you don't understand. He's healing you." A blast rang out. A soldier had fired blindly, and the energy beam hit Kael in the chest. Harlan screamed, but Kael didn't fall. Instead, the fire inside him lit up. The glow spread from his chest to his arms, his legs, his eyes, until his whole body became a figure of golden flame. The council soldiers backed away, eyes wide. Kael took a deep breath, and the fire retreated. Back inside him, he was unharmed. He stepped forward and placed his small hand on the soldier who shot him. "I forgive you." That moment broke everything. Not just weapons, not just fear, but generations of lies. The soldiers dropped their gear. One by one. No orders. No commanders, no commanders. Only understanding, far above, inside the council ship. Commander Sirik watched the live feed in silence. The boy survived a direct shot and still showed mercy. His hand trembled. He turned to his assistant. "Prepare a transmission." "To who, sir?" Girek's voice was quiet. "To the council. And to every world." Back on Earth, Kael looked at the glowing sky above him and whispered, "They thought the fire was to destroy." He smiled softly, but it was always meant to warm the stars. The council chamber was filled with silence. Threk sat at the head of the long glass table, surrounded by the other members. His sharp crystal fingers tapped slowly. Tap, 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 tap. A giant holoscreen floated above them, playing the scene again. And again, a human child, shot directly in the chest. Walking forward, unharmed. Forgiving the soldier who tried to kill him. Councilmember Varanoak growled. "This footage must not be released." Another one added, "If the public sees this, they will question everything." But someone spoke from the shadows. "I've already released it." All heads turned. Council historian Mirix, a soft-spoken alien with paper-thin skin and bright violet eyes, stepped forward. "You buried the truth for centuries, lied about the Dragonide, lied about the war, but now the galaxy knows." Threk stood sharply. "You dare go against the council." Mirix didn't flinch. "No, I stand with the people." He placed a crystal shard on the table. It began playing ancient recordings, not fakes, but real. Sealed evidence from the time of the dragon clans. A voice echoed across the chamber. "The Dragonide do not seek war. They guard the stars." Images flashed, children with glowing eyes. Fire used not for destruction, but for healing, for growing plants in dead soil, for warming entire cold planets. Gasps filled the room. "What have we done?" Someone whispered back on Earth, in the hidden bunker. Kael stood before a large glowing wall. Strange golden shapes floated in front of him, circling like birds. Vela watched from behind. "What are you doing?" Kael answered without turning. "Listening to the ones who came before me." Dr. Harlan stepped beside her. "You mean the ancestors of the Dragonide?" Kael nodded. "They left memories here. Warnings, secrets." He turned around, eyes glowing silver now. They knew the council would betray them. The holograms floating around Kael began showing. Cities, alien cities being burned not by dragons, but by council ships. It had all been a lie. Dr. Harlan stared at the images. The Dragon War wasn't started by the Dragonite. Vela's voice shook. It was the Council. They feared the power, so they destroyed it. Kael raised his hand, and the holograms vanished. He spoke slowly. I have to go. Go where? Harlan asked. Kael looked toward the sky. To the truth. Far across the galaxy, entire worlds were now receiving the leaked footage. Screens played Kael's peaceful stand, his glowing forgiveness, the fire that healed instead of destroyed. Protests rose, banners flew. Statues of council leaders were torn down. One message was repeated everywhere. Why did you hide the Dragonite from us? Meanwhile, Council Commander Jirik, the very one who had ordered Kael's removal, stood alone in his chamber. He was staring at an old photo. Ah, young girl with glowing red eyes. His daughter, he had hidden her once. Long ago. But the council had found her. He had never forgiven himself. Jirik walked to his desk and opened a secret file, one that only he had access to. Inside, a dusty hologram of a small planet appeared. One the council had wiped from maps, the last Dragonite sanctuary. His eyes narrowed. If Kael finds this place, the old bloodline may rise again. He closed the file, but a soft voice behind him whispered, maybe that's what the galaxy needs. He turned and saw Myrix standing with armed guards. You're under arrest, Sizrik, for crimes against truth. Back on Earth, Kael stepped into the ancient portal room beneath the bunker. Golden lights swirled around him. Harlan tried to stop him. You're still just a child. Kael smiled. No, Doctor. I'm the spark of something old. Vela stepped forward. You won't go alone. Kael looked at her. You remember your name now, don't you? She nodded. Yes. My mother called me Saren, before the council took it. Kael reached out and held her hand. The portal-activated fire circled them. Warm, gentle, together. They stepped into the light. Far away, on a frozen moon, where only ruins remained, something ancient awakened. A sleeping stone eye opened. It glowed the same color as Kael's. The voice of the past echoed once more. The fire never died. It only waited. The stars weren't silent anymore. As Kael stood inside the glowing portal, stars danced around him, not just light, but memory. Each shimmer whispered voices from long ago. Names, songs, dreams, pain. Beside him, Vela now. Siren watched in awe. Her old name had returned. Her purpose was no longer shadow and blade. She was no longer the assassin. She was his guardian. The portal closed behind them. They were standing on an ancient space station starhold. Therian floating just above a shattered moon. Ruins stretched across its surface. Tall spires broken by time. But one tower still stood, glowing faint gold. Kael pointed to it. That's where the memory flame sleeps. Siren's voice was barely a whisper. Are you sure? Kael looked at her with glowing silver eyes. It's calling me. Back on Earth, Dr. Harlan was alone in the bunker, watching the stars from a dusty window. The child he once held in his arms, the baby with dragon eyes, was now touching galaxies older than mankind itself. He whispered, "Be safe, Kael." Suddenly, his monitor flashed red. Incoming transmission. Global PIR ride TPY. He tapped it. A familiar face appeared. Myrix, the council historian. I hope I'm speaking to the right man, Myrix said calmly. Because everything now depends on Earth. Harlan narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? The council has been overthrown. But others worse ones are coming. The Shadow faction is preparing for war. Back on the space station, Kael and Saren climbed the last stairs of the ancient tower. Every wall they passed showed carving stales of the Dragonite. Not as gods, not as monsters, but as protectors. One carving showed a small child holding fire in both hands, warming a cold planet. Another showed him standing between two armies, stopping a war with just his presence. Saren paused. "That one looks like you." Kael nodded. "Because I've been here before," Saren frowned. "But how?" Kael looked up at the tall golden flame ahead. "Because I'm not the first." Inside the final chamber, a slow-burning flame floated in the air, bright gold with a soft blue edge. Kael walked toward it. The flame reacted, growing brighter as he approached. Then it spoke. "You carry the last spark. Are you ready to remember?" Kael closed his eyes, and the fire leaped into him. The stars vanished. He was no longer in the room. He was inside memory. He saw it all. Millions of years ago, dragon-eyed beings soaring through space, not in ships, but with wings of light. Helping. Small worlds survive, healing dying suns. Bringing balance where machines had failed. But he saw the betrayal too. How jealous the council grew. How they feared losing power. How they turned the galaxy against the dragon-eyed with lies and war. One by one, the dragon-eyed fell. But not all. A few left behind echoes. Waiting for one to awaken again. Waiting for him, Kael gasped and fell to his knees. The fire was inside. Him now, Saren rushed to him. "Kael, are you all right?" He looked up, eyes glowing with galaxies. His voice was soft, but clear. "I know what I am now." He stood. "I am the balance." Suddenly, a deep hum echoed through the tower. Outside, a tear in space appeared near the station. A Shadow Faction dreadship came through. Black and massive, shaped like a serpent with wings. Saren cursed under her breath. "They followed us." Kael turned toward the window. "They're scared of what I remember. They'll destroy us before the truth spreads," she warned. Kael reached out toward the stars. "No," he said calmly. "They'll hear me first." On the dreadship, alarms rang as systems overloaded. Light beams began to swirl through the command bridge. The Shadow Faction leader, a hooded being with a face hidden in shifting smoke, roared. "What is this?" A boy's voice filled the ship. "You tried to silence the fire. I am the..." Echo, the leader screamed, "Shut it down." But it was too late. Across the stars, thousands of satellites began glowing. Beacons long thought dead lit up. Old messages reactivated. A wave of memories' true history was released. Across the galaxy, not fiction, not lies, but truth. The truth the galaxy had forgotten, and the fire the council had feared, was now lighting every world. Kael floated above. The station now, surrounded by golden rings of fire and light. Saren stood behind him, sword drawn. "Will you fight?" she asked. Kael smiled gently. "No, I will remind them what they truly are." All across the galaxy, stars began to glow brighter. Kael's voice had already reached more planets than any council transmission ever had. His fire, once feared, now lit up forgotten symbols on ancient buildings, awakened hidden vaults, and brought lost civilizations back into the light. But it was not over above the broken moon. The Shadow Faction's dreadship hovered in silence. Its dark wings stretched wide, like a storm waiting to strike. Inside it, the leader, a being of smoke, shadow, and hatred, watched the boy floating outside his view screen. "He dares to wake the old flame," the leader hissed. "Then we shall snuff it out ourselves." He gave the command. "Fire everything." In a heartbeat, the ship launched dozens of plasma missiles straight at the glowing station. Saren gasped. "They're going to destroy us." But Kael stood calmly. His feet didn't touch the ground. His eyes glowed brighter than ever, swirling mix of gold, red, and blue. He raised one hand, and the missiles froze mid-air. Every single warhead hung in the silence of space, shaking in place. Then Kael whispered, "No more fear." With a single wave, the missiles turned and fell apart like dust. Inside the dread ship, lights exploded. Systems shut down. The leader fell to his knees. He heard a voice in his head, not Kael's, but one much older. "You twisted power into fear. You turned fire into darkness. But fire remembers." The ship began to crack apart. Not from attack, but from truth. The Shadow faction's lies were unraveling. Their weapons, built on stolen Dragonite tech, were rejecting them. On every council-controlled planet, people were rising. Screens showed the truth that the Dragonite were not monsters. That they once helped build cities, cure diseases, and warm, dying worlds. That the council erased them out of fear. And now, one child had brought it all back. The boy with dragon eyes. Back at the station, Kael lowered himself gently onto the ground beside Saren. His fire dimmed, but his eyes still glowed. Saren knelt before him not as a soldier, but as someone who had seen the truth. "I don't know what to call you anymore," she said softly. Kael looked up. "Just call me Kael." A small ship arrived from Earth, piloted by Dr. Harlan. He rushed out, breathless. "I came as fast as I could. The whole galaxy is talking about you." Kael smiled. "Good. They're remembering now." Harlan stepped forward and looked into Kael's glowing eyes. "I still remember the night you were born. I was scared. I thought you were dangerous." "You were right," Kael said, "but not in the way you thought." Harlan raised a brow. "What do you mean?" Kael turned and looked at the stars. "I'm dangerous. 2 lies." A few days later, a new meeting was called. Not in the council chambers, not behind closed doors, but open. On a neutral world broadcast. Live to every planet, and this time, Kael was there. He stood before billions, watching across systems, not as a leader, not as a weapon, but as a child with eyes like fire and a heart full of peace. He said just one thing. Fire doesn't only burn. It also lights the way. After the speech, the old council was dismantled, new alliances were formed. The Shadow faction disappeared, broken, forgotten, and hunted by their own. And from that day forward, a symbol appeared across every planet. Pair of glowing eyes with a flame between them. They didn't stand for power. They stood for truth. Back on Earth, Harlan returned to his peaceful life. He planted trees, helped rebuild. Valinal Siren became a protector of the new Truth Academy, where young beings from all species came to learn the real history of the stars. And Kael. He visited many worlds, not to rule, not to fight, but to heal. Wherever there was darkness, his fire brought light. Wherever there was silence, his voice brought memory. One night, on a quiet planet near the edge of the galaxy, Kael sat by a fire. Alone, a child from the village walked up to him and asked, "Are the stories true? Were you really born on Earth with dragon eyes?" Kael smiled. "Yes." The child tilted his head. "Were you scared?" Kael looked into the flames. "Yes, but I didn't stay scared. I learned to listen to the fire. Instead of running from it, the child sat beside him. "Can I do that too?" Kael gently placed his hand on the child's chest. "You already have it inside you."